This is a piece of code authored by someone named Ken. I don't know Ken. He's just the person that wrote this little piece of code, and he's referenced in the code, so I just want to give him proper credit. But this is part of a programming assignment in one of the Python books that I'm using for teaching. And this is exercise 5.4. And they give us this piece of code and they want us to modify the code. And so I had some requests from students asking me to demonstrate how we can do this. Right now, this code is functional. So if we were to run this, it's going to come up with enter the number of sentences. Let's just say 5. And it's going to generate these sentences. And it's kind of cool. We get these sentences generated. The girl liked the ball by the boy. The girl hit a boy with the girl. The ball saw a bat by the bat. A girl hit a girl with the girl. And so they don't necessarily make sense, but the idea is to generate these sentences. And so they do use the proper grammar though. So for example, we have our articles, a and the. We have nouns, boy, girl, bat, ball. We have verbs, hit, saw, liked, and prepositions, with and by. And then of course we have the different functions that generate this this code. Of course at the bottom we have our entry point. Remember that this line of code down here that I'm highlighting, what this tells the compiler is that the entry point into the code is the main function. And the main function is right here. The main function is going to iterate through the number of times that the user says. So for example, it says how many times? We said 5. It's going to iterate through a for loop 5 times, and it's going to print sentence calling the sentence function. So we can go ahead and take a look at the sentence function, which is right here. And it builds and returns the sentence. So it's going to return the noun phrase plus the verb phrase. So it goes up to the noun, it selects, well, we'll go to the noun phrase function, which is right here. Go to the noun phrase function, it's going to randomly select from the articles, which is either going to be an a or a the, and then it's going to concatenate it with a space and then concatenate it with a random choice for nouns. The nouns is boy, girl, bat. And that's the simplest version of selecting its noun, its article and its noun. And then it's going to concatenate that with the verb phrase. And we can look below that to find, okay, where's the verb phrase? Well, the verb phrase is generated here by random choice verbs. So we'll go back up to verbs, hit, saw, and liked, and then the noun phrase. So the noun phrase was already generated up here, so it's going to return the noun phrase, and it will add the prepositional phrase. Prepositional phrase is right here, builds and returns a prepositional phrase, which we can see selects a random preposition and the noun phrase again. So it's all selected from right in here in this list. And so that's how this code works, and I'll let you just take a look at it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say edited, and it's going to be me. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and paste in the assignment. So we'll do that right here. All right. So the first thing is the prepositional phrase is optional. They want us to make the prepositional phrase optional. And the second thing is a conjunction and a second independent clause are optional. Okay. And they give us an example. The boy took a drink and the girl played baseball. Well, that's pretty cool. The third thing they want us to do is to have an adjective that is optional. So the girl kicked the red ball with a sore foot. And we have a couple of adjectives in there, descriptors. Okay, well that's cool. Obviously we're going to have to modify this code quite a bit. So we'll attack the first one first, which is the prepositional phrase is optional. And I'm going to write some code, and then I'll explain it. Alright, so I added a few lines of code, and we're going to take a look at them now. So remember the first one is to make the prepositional phrase optional. So what I did was, right here underneath the prepositions, I went ahead and created a little variable called 50-50 chance. And what I want to do with 50-50 chance is say, you know what, it's either a 0 or 1, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this to determine whether something's going to be called or not. So according to the instructions, we just make it optional. It's supposed to be determined with a little bit of probability. So to keep things really simple, I'm just going to go with a 50-50% probability. So that's what this one is, 50-50 chance. It's going to be 0 or 1, like flipping a coin. Okay, so I added this piece. The next thing I did was I modified the prepositional phrase code. And that's right here, makes the prepositional phrase optional. And so what I did was I inserted an if-else statement. And so I say, if the random.choice of the 50-50 chance, so it's going to choose either 0 or 1, and it's going to randomly select one, we don't know which one, then return nothing. So if it selects 0, the comparator here, if it selects 0 right here, then nothing happens. However, if it randomly selects the 1, then we're going to return the prepositional choice. So this is basically the same line of code that existed before, except for now it's being returned only if the 1 is randomly selected right here. So those are the only lines of code I added. This if-else statement right here and the 50 chance right here. So now let's run this again and see what happens. And this time we're gonna do 10 sentences just to get enough variation. All right, so here's our sentences, and you can see that the prepositional phrase is added. Buy a ball, by, with, and then that's it. So a boy saw a ball, buy a ball, a boy hit a ball, so that's obviously without the prepositional phrase. A bat liked a boy, without. The boy hit the ball by the bat, with the prepositional phrase. And so we have satisfied condition number 1. All right. Okay, so the second one, we are to create a conjunction and a second independent clause, which are going to be optional. And they give us an example. The boy took a drink and the girl played ball. Okay, so we can do that. I'm going to go ahead and write a little bit more code and then explain it. Okay, so to add the conjunction with the second independent clause, what I did was I had to create a new line here called conjunctions, and I set the different elements of this conjunction to the different conjunctions: and, or, but, for, nor, so, and yet. And these are the more common ones, so I went ahead and entered these. That's why I commented added. And the next thing that I did was I went to the sentence function right here, and I modified it. And just like we did before, I went ahead and said, let's do the random choice of the 50-50 chance. So I'm using this list again here with 0 and 1. And if it chooses 0, so the coin flips 0, then I'm just going to do like I normally do, the noun phrase plus the verb phrase. No problem. Okay. However, if the 1 comes up, then we're going to say the noun phrase plus the verb phrase plus, and this is the added code right here, we're going to say the random choice with a conjunction. And we're also going to add the noun phrase, because now we're adding a second noun phrase. So a random choice with conjunctions plus a noun phrase. And that makes that part optional. So I added, again, to go over what was added, to satisfy the second point here, a conjunction and a second independent clause being optional. I added the conjunctions line of code, and I modified the sentence function to an if-else statement so that I could use the random choice 50-50 chance. And then I simply, if the coin came up 1, then all I did was add this section of code right here, where I'm going to call the random conjunction and the noun phrase and verb phrase, too far, the noun phrase and verb phrase functions. And so here we are. So this is the code that's been added right here. Space random.choice conjunctions, and then concatenate with a space, and then just as usual call our noun phrase function and our verb phrase function. And that satisfies the second question right here with these lines of code. So let's run this and see what happens now. We're going to say 10 again to get plenty of opportunity for diversity. Okay, and here's our new stuff. So we still get the girl saw a ball with the girl. So the original number 1 is still here, and then we have a bat hit a bat with the ball, And then here's some of our new stuff. The girl liked the girl for the ball hit a bat. The girl saw a ball with the bat, but the girl liked a boy with the girl. So we have our optional independent clause here. And that satisfies number 2. Okay, so what's the third one? Let's see here. An adjective is optional. So to give us an example, the girl kicked the red ball with a sore foot. Okay, so we have some descriptors to add now. So I'm going to write some code and then I'll explain. To add to the adjectives, what I did is I created a new variable here, adjectives, and I added the elements big, small, strange, and actually just a whole bunch of them. I wanted to throw in a whole bunch, so it's kind of cool. And so these are all the possible adjectives that the program could randomly select. And then I went to the noun phrase and the noun phrase function, and I did the same thing as I did the last 2 times. I added the 50-50 chance as a choice, so it's going to flip the coin 0 or 1. If it comes up 0, it's going to be just the usual, return the article with the noun. If it comes up 1, it's going to now add the adjective in between the noun or the article and the noun. So now we have satisfied the third point. Well, let me do that again. So here we go. Random choice articles plus concatenate the space, random choice adjectives, space, and the noun. And this is the part that's been added, is right here in the middle, inside of the if-else statement. So let's go back up there. So here we have it. If, the if-else statement, and the 2 return possibilities for the exit. And that's it. It's really that simple. So we go back up and we can run this now. And let's do 10 so we can get a nice diversity set. And here's our output, hitting all possibilities. The girl saw a strange boy. Here we go. Here's our new adjective. The fast girl saw a girl with a boy. Okay. The normal ball liked a boy for odd ball liked a ball. So this I don't like. We should be an N. And I want to do some work with that too in a little bit. I also don't like all this uppercasing stuff. So right now though, at this point, the assignment has been satisfied. All 3 of the requirements are working and functional, and it's all here. It just doesn't make a lot of sense is all. And so I'm going to go ahead and scroll through the code again. And so here's our 3 requirements. Prepositional phase optional, conjunction and second independent clause optional, adjective is optional. Okay, so to do that, I added adjectives, I added the conjunctions, and I added a 50-50 chance for the coin toss. And then in the sentence function, I returned the option. Well, I first of all toss the coin. If it comes up 1, then we add in the random choice with the conjunction. And we'll take a look at that. So here it is, the conjunction, noun phrase, and verb phrase. In the noun phrase, we have added in the adjective, and I went through that already, but we'll just kind of go through the code again. And the prepositional phrase right here, making it also an option. Now there's a whole bunch of different ways that this assignment could have been handled. This was just the simplest way that I could think of to do this assignment. And so there you have it. This is the simplest way to do it. But so at this point the code satisfies all the requirements for the assignment. But let's have some fun with it and do a little bit more. That's what I think we should do. So I want to change some code right here in the main, and I'm going to do that and then I'll explain it. What I did was I went into the for loop and I capitalized the first letter of the sentence, and then I lowercase everything else, and then I add a period to the end of the sentence. And that's for readability. I also add a break between the sentences. So what I did is I said, okay, let's create an array, and we're going to take the array, we're going to append it, and we're going to pass it the sentence just like we did before, except for this time we're going to take that sentence and we're going to cast it to lowercase. So the entire sentence will be lowercase. Then I say, okay, let's capture the first letter of the sentence. And so I This is, if you recall our last assignment, we look for the first character of a string, which is really what this is, and we put it into an array and we capture the first character and we uppercase it. Then we look for the string and we capture the rest of the string, minus the first letter of course, and we concatenate it. So now we have the first letter, which is uppercase, the rest of the string, which is lowercase because of up here, and we concatenate it into C. And then we also concatenate a period because it's going to be the first letter, which is capitalized, the rest of the string, and then a period. And then we just print out C with the 2 break lines on either end, so that way it'll be structured nicely. So now we can run this again and it'll just have a better appearance. Okay, so here you have it. The strange girl saw a boy, yet the girl saw a bat. Okay. A fancy ball hit a small boy with the girl. Okay. And we still have this N and A awesome thing. So because it just shouldn't be a awesome boy. It should be an awesome boy. So we're going to work with that too. The odd bat hit a boy. That's good. The girl saw a normal girl, so the boy saw the ball with the bat. Okay. The stupid boy hit a strange girl with a boy. Okay. And so you have these sentences which are starting to make a little bit more sense, but you know, at least they look better. So the first thing I want to tackle is this A and N, the article, which is just not right, and let's fix that. So I'm going to write a little bit more code, and then I'll explain it. To handle the AN versus A problem, what I had to do was take a look at the word that comes after the A or N, and because the rules for grammar are if the first letter of the word after the the article is a vowel, then we use AN. Otherwise, we use A. So we're looking for vowels after the article. Okay, so to do that, what I had to do is I had to make some drastic changes to the noun phrase function. And what I did was, and there's probably simpler ways to do it, this is just the way that I thought of while I was doing this, was to go ahead and say, okay, let's take a look, and we'll generate our random noun choices as usual. And what we're going to do is we're going to take that noun and we're going to put it into array as usual. We're going to capture the first letter so that we can tell whether it's a vowel or a consonant. And the way we do that is we need to compare the first letter of the noun with our vowels list. So up in here I had to create a new variable here, which is going to contain the elements A, E, I, O, and there should be U, but I didn't use U. I'm just going to use these ones for our vowels. And so if the next word contains one of these letters, then we know that we need to use the AN, which is another thing I added. So up here I had article equal AN. The articles itself stayed unchanged. We still have A and the. We added a new article, AN, so that it's interchangeable with A depending on whether or not a vowel is found in the word succeeding the article. Okay. So in the noun phrase, that's where I did all my changes. And I said, okay, so let's take a look at our noun. We're going to capture the first letter, which is what we're doing right here. We're going to compare that letter with all the letters that are contained in our vowels. And if there's a match, that means that there's a vowel. And if so, then we're going to use the article string, which is just basically A. And we're going to output A plus the noun, which we found up in here. All right. Otherwise, we're going to choose at random from our articles, which is the original A or the. Okay. So that's how we determine if we're going to use our A or N, depending on what the first letter of the noun afterwards. But we also have to account for the condition when an adjective is added, because there's going to be times when we have an adjective in between there, right? A descriptor. So I have to do the same thing, except for this time I'm going to generate the adjective, and I'm going to examine the first letter of that adjective, again comparing it to the list to see if there's a vowel in the list. And if there is, then I'm going to go ahead and use the article, so that way AN for a vowel. If not, then it'll just be A. I'll just be pulling A or the from the articles at random, and then concatenating them. Of course, I still choose whether or not I'm going to randomly use an adjective or not. That's still going to be a 50-50 shot. And then once the choice is made, then I simply output either the first one that contains the logic for no adjective, or the second one, which contains logic for an adjective. So I'll go ahead and leave this code up. So all the changes, and they are extensive, have been made right in here. If you want to examine it farther, you can pause the screen. So there's a lot going on here. I think I explained it well enough. On top, the two new things I added was an article for an and the vowels, so that I can examine those. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this and see what happens. We're going to put, we'll put 20 sentences this time. All right, so we have a lot of diversity this time, and let's take a look and see what we have here. The round ball hit the boy by a small bat, nor the odd bat liked a girl by a girl. The boy saw the bat with the pretty boy. The awesome boy hit a girl by a normal boy. The boy liked a strong boy. Okay. A awesome boy saw a round girl by the girl. So let's look for those A's and ands though. So a bat, a pretty bat. Do I see any ands in here? I didn't see any cases of those. So maybe we generate a few more and see if we can find any. Okay, so let's do it again for fun. And see if we can see any. So I'm looking for ands, but I didn't see any. Oh, it's interesting. Hope I did it right. Okay, well it looks all correct. Run it again. Let's do 30 this time, or maybe 50 and see if we can. Okay, so I might have to do some troubleshooting to look for that AN and get back to you, because I am not seeing a case where AN hits at all. Oh, nor a bat liked. But these seem to make sense, so it could just be just statistically happening the way it is. What the problem was, there weren't enough different nouns, so I went ahead and populated a whole bunch more nouns and verbs and prepositions and even adjectives. I added a whole bunch more, so that way we could have more diversity in our options and our possible sentence generation. Anyway, so I run this now, and now everything's working, and we get some cool things. The big alien cleaned a flash drive under the mouse. Okay. The keyboard hit a smart memory card, yet a normal flash drive broke the flash drive. The small bat saw the keyboard, and the stupid motherboard hit the mean GPU. A smart boy managed a GPU, then the small alien, yet, it doesn't quite make sense, a fancy AI replaced an awesome mouse into the flash drive. A GPU terminated the robot. I like that one. A rocket cleaned an odd AI, then the stupid rocket for a computer studied the GPU after a small bat. A fancy mouse liked the motherboard. Okay, so let's see if we find any with the AN in this one. And I don't see any in this one either. Okay, so here we see our code working. A rocket saw the mean robot pass the keyboard, and AI hated the computer. I love that one. That was auto-generated, I'm not kidding. Do we have any more? Let's see. I don't think so. And this one should have worked here, right here, but I don't know what happened there. So there's obviously a little bit of debugging, but you get the point. It mostly works as much as it can, but I don't know, it's kind of cool. That's probably about all the time I want to invest in this this thing. I mean, it's just for fun. So anyways, I did a lot to modify this. We added an article. We added a whole bunch more words to our lexicon, or our corpus. We added the 50-50 chance, and we did some concatenation, and we hit all the requirements, and then we added a bunch of things just to have some fun with it. So yeah, that's it. Hope you enjoyed it.